Cingari here with Umar Kemilainen, who joins me all the way from Sweden today. Umar, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. I know it's late in Sweden tonight. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm good. It's really a pleasure to get onto your show, and yeah.
You're welcome.
Truly I'm privileged.
You have a very impressive record as a boxer. How did you get started in boxing then?
Well, I wanted to start boxing at a very early age, but the thing was that I lived about 10 miles from the nearest boxing gym back in those days in Finland. So I kind of had to wait until I was old enough to travel all that distance with public transportations on my own. And then, after watching the Atlanta Olympic Games, 96, the burning desire just overcame me. And I was about 14 years back then, and then I couldn't help it anymore, and I just went into it, and that's pretty much it.
Now you won 5 fights as a pro boxer, but then had to stop suddenly. Can you share that story with our viewers for us, please?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I suffered in the end of 2007. Actually, I was offered already a chance to fight as my 6th professional fight for the WBC Youth 10-round world title. And unfortunately, what happened to me was that I suffered this kind of a hysterical kind of food poisoning, which I never really, even still today, didn't understand what it was. But what happened to me, that food poisoning caused my dysfunction of my whole lower body was paralyzed, and I was in a wheelchair for a while. And then I was being medicated very, very heavily for that thing, with very heavy chemical medications, and which I ended after healing. About 1 year of having the sickness. After healing, I suffered about another year from the side effects of that medication. And then 2 years had passed, and 2009, when I wanted to start making a comeback, ever since I haven't found anybody who to work with, because the reality in boxing is, unfortunately, it's supposed to be the most noble discipline out of all the sports in the world, but unfortunately the politics outside the ring doesn't do too much favors for the sport. And when you're a white man and a Muslim, that's definitely not seen something that favors you in the politics of boxing, because they orchestrate things outside the ring. So pretty much, I was in UK for 2 years. I couldn't believe it. I went to the United Kingdom by believing all this, talk about the multicultural society and all that, and found out that the whole British boxing was pretty much completely fake and orchestrated by these redneck promoters who didn't give me even a chance, even for one fight during 2 years' time. So that's pretty much the case, and then it is what it is. But
we have some video of you training though, and I took a look at it earlier today. It looks like you're in great shape. So take me sort of through a typical training day for you, because you are back at the gym, of course.
Yeah, right now what my current situation is this, that I have a little bit of infection in my shoulder, so I'm not training myself at the minute, but I'm training other fighters, and then personal training, of course, clients, because gotta make somehow a living, to survive. And then so my job right now is coaching, and I'm very much into this, striking coaching in the sport of MMA, because I see MMA still being more of a legit sport, in a way that the politics in the sports doesn't ruin it, and the best have to fight the best from the root level. So nobody's been done any favors in MMA, and there's no corners being cut, and that's what kind of made me regret the fact that I didn't get into MMA more, I mean, I'm talking about the ground fighting aspect since I was younger, because, you know, like, even I look at the stand-up of a lot of the MMA fighters and I say I would do extremely, extremely well, even though I'm already like 33 years old. But the thing is that once they put you on your back, you know, the whole game changes, you know, and then that's something like it will take years and years to grind, you know, to make yourself as a sufficient ground fighter, and you know. But right now I have a very, very good another old MMA fighter, Martin Alberg, who is extremely well-rounded submission wrestler, very accomplished, you know, and he wants to come back at the age of 39.
Wow.
Into professional MMA, and I'm helping out with his striking, and
good.
He will, once my shoulder starts to get better, he will start to help me with the ground game. So you never know, you know.
Yeah. So
you never know where life takes you.
Am I hearing from you that there's a chance you're thinking about maybe going into MMA?
Well, you know, as I said, you know, like when I look at, you know, like most of the elite level guys in MMA, you know, like, and if you know, because I'm very well educated in all the forms of striking arts, you know, because ever since I was a kid, I trained martial arts, you know, like I've trained Muay Thai in the best and toughest Muay Thai camps in Thailand, you know. I've trained Savate with Savate world champions, you know, like Kyokushin karate black belts, you know. So the striking aspect for me, you know, like I see myself, you know, being way ahead of most of the elite MMA fighters. But once again, as I say, when they put me on my back, they will prove me that I'm a white belt in jiu-jitsu. You know, so it's a different ball game. Yeah, but definitely something that really, you know, attracts me very much, you know, and I love just seeing how great athletes these MMA fighters are. There's such a great, you know, passionate athletes, and you know, like teaching somebody with such a desire, you know, it's a great thing, you know, like it's easy for you to develop their striking when they're so committed into the training, you know.
One of the things that attracted me to MMA as a journalist is the fact that all the fighters I meet, the coaches, the trainers, even the managers, have a great sense of honor and integrity about the sport and amongst each other. So to me, it's the greatest sport in the world. Talk to me a little bit about some of the people you're currently training in MMA.
Well, as I was saying, that Martin Alberg and me, we're right now, we're trying to you know, start working more harder, you know, both, although we're aging, and you know, I've been hanging out at the All Stars gym here in Stockholm, and there's a lot of the UFC fighters, and they see what I'm capable of bringing to the table, so I wouldn't be surprised if I would be cornering the UFC fighters pretty soon.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's very good, you know, and in the Middle East, of course, I was training like the current first in history, the first welterweight champion for Desert Fort, Munir Al-Aziz, the sniper.
Wow.
Undefeated, and the first in history. I was very proud when I saw him winning the title. And the thing is that I was training him on the camp for his previous fight, but he got injured during a wrestling practice. Okay. So the fight was called off, so I wasn't cornering him into that fight, but I was, you know, trying to do my best for him, you know.
I got to ask you, as a former professional boxer, the big buzz over here is Mayweather Pacquiao. Who do you think's going to win the fight?
Well, you see, the thing is this, you know, like there's like, you know, there's no clue, like nobody's proven like how to beat Floyd Mayweather, so that's like shrouded in a kind of like mystery. But then again, but then again, you know, Manny is the man, you know, in so many ways. And the thing about Manny Pacquiao is this, that Floyd has been seen suffering with the southpaws before, and like having difficulties with the southpaws. Plus, Manny Pacquiao throws so much shots, you know. So if I believe that if Pacquiao gets the fight going in his way in early stages of the fight, he might pull this fight off. But then again, you know, like as we know, you know, the boxing IQ of Floyd Mayweather is tremendous, and you know, like if he starts to figure Manny Pacquiao out, and you know, gets his, you know, that slip and slide, beautiful flow on, which he's known for, you know, then it will be very difficult. You know, he'll probably outpoint Pacquiao, but you know, it's a 50-50 fight in my view. So much, you know, you know, I've figured this fight in my head so many times, and I really can't really go neither way, because you know, at the end of the day, it's a fight, and anything can happen in a fight, you know.
That's very true. I don't have any predictions yet, so don't ask me. Now, you're a very religious person, and you became Muslim. Tell us a little bit about what role your faith plays in your life right now.
Well, you know, my faith in Islam, you know, like it plays a role pretty much in everything what I do in life, you know, because Islam is a complete way of life. And you know, just obviously, you know, we're human, and we're bound to human error. So no, I don't believe that there's such a human being on the face of the earth at the moment who can really like follow religion of Islam 100%. But you know, at least what comes out of Islam to the people who really get into it is that their view of right and wrong gets really clear for them. You know, like, so when you error, you know that you're wrong, you know, and you seek God's forgiveness for your error, whereby somebody who wouldn't even know that he's doing wrong, which a lot of the Muslims, unfortunately, at the moment in the world, because they're not very well educated about their religion, and they're not very committed to following their religion of Islam. So, you know, a lot of the people, sometimes they confuse a lot of things, you know, regarding to what Islam really is, you know, And I'm talking about the Muslim people at the moment, not just the other people who seem to have a completely false picture of Islam at the current era that we're living in. Unfortunately, you know, the other people, the non-Muslim people, that unfortunately have had a really bad picture of Islam, you know, and the media, unfortunately, you know, they're not making it any easier for people to understand what's going on. Really.
I'm curious to find out, I looked a little bit at some of the clips of you. Did you become Muslim because while you were undergoing these medical conditions, you changed your religion then? Or after you were sick, did you then become Muslim? Or, you know?
No. I've become, you know, the thing is that I've been very highly interested about Islam since from the very early age, you know, like, because the small amounts what I knew about Islam, they always made sense to me as a very small child, you know. And then once I got older, you know, that desire started to know more and more, got bigger and bigger, until, you know, like, but I was living very wild life as a youngster, so I wasn't able to concentrate on any religious aspects of life, you know. So then I remember the military was pretty much for me the thing, that because there I had a time sometimes, you know, on my own to think about things, you know, the things that I've learned about Islam, and there I thought about it a lot. And then once I got 2004, I got out of the army, you know, then I made the firm conviction to start practice Islam full time. And then, you know, all praise be to Allah, you know, I've been on that path, you know. Obviously I'm not a saint, not an angel, you know, but I do my best, and you know, every day try to rectify myself accordingly to the religion of Islam.
Anything else you'd like to add today, Umar?
Today?
Yeah.
Well, there's so many things to talk about, but nothing comes to my mind right now.
Right.
That much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Umar. I know that we're going to see you probably in the octagon at some point in the future, whether you're actually fighting or as a striking coach cornering somebody. I wish you good luck with your injury, and I hope to speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Susan. It was really a pleasure
thank you.
to be interviewed by you. Thank you.